So welcome officially everyone to the May Inland SoCal Housing Collective monthly meeting. We have an exciting agenda. We have two places of worship, two churches specifically, one in San Bernardino and one in Riverside County, that we're going to learn about some of their affordable housing projects they have going. So first, I'd like to welcome John Dixon and Tracy Fitzsimmons to share about their project. Take it away. Thanks, guys.
Hey, seeing some familiar faces in this virtual room. This is pretty cool. So, hi to those of you I know, and hi to those of you I don't know. Melanie, thanks for giving us the space. I was excited when Melanie approached me and asked if we wanted to share what we're doing here at Crest Community Church. And I wanted to include Tracy because Tracy is such a critical partner in this. We've grown to be really good friends. She's an incredible leader over at Olive Crest. And usually what we do is when we're sharing the story of what this project that we're working on together, I'll open with a little bit of the backstory on the church side, and then Tracy will say a little bit about what they're doing at Olive Crest and how the partnership works between the two of us. But Tracy messaged me before the meeting and said, hey, I'm in Coachella Valley with no air conditioning and no lights in this room with an important meeting at 1:20. So I thought, for her sake, let's have her start the story, and then I can kind of back up a bit and give the church's origin story for the project as well. So Tracy, take it away.
Thanks, Pastor John, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, all of you, for inviting us today. Yes, it's over 100 degrees out here already, but Olive Crest, I'm just curious. I know that we've got a lot of people on here. How many people have actually heard of Olive Crest? You could raise your hand. Okay, great. Usually there's quite a few in the crowd who somehow, after 50 years, we're celebrating our 50th year, still haven't heard of us, but we're a child welfare agency that has been around for, as I said, 50 years, 40 years here in the Inland Valley. And we have foster and adoption services, group homes that are short-term residential treatment programs, counseling, transitional age youth. And as we were coming into our 50th year, how this whole thing started was, as we were coming into our 50th year, we were doing well, let me back up 2 seconds. In 2010, we did a Vision 2020, and we had a vision to double the number of children and families that we served, from 50,000 from the inception of Olive Crest from 1973 to 2010, double that to 100,000 by 2020. And what ended up happening was we achieved that in 2016. And so what we did was we stopped and we said, well, we could continue to grow at the rapid rates that we were continuing to grow with, satellite offices and regions all from the Pacific Northwest on down to San Diego. Or we could stop and go, how can we involve community? How can we involve church members, which is our largest group of volunteers, in this pursuit of identifying and walking alongside of broken and isolated families? How can we do that? What do we need? How do we not over replicate things that people are already doing well? How do we fill in gaps without overlapping other people's services? So we did a big feasibility study, as you do with capital campaigns, and we thought about what we needed, and transitional age youth housing, along with preventative housing that can take children and families that are have a temporary crisis in their family and divert them away from the child welfare system by providing the safe housing that they need, coming in and providing the services that they need, and most importantly, connecting them with community. I'm going to steal your thunder, John, and Pastor John always talks about a poverty of relationships and a crisis of community, and that's what attracted us to the things that are going on at Crest Community Church as much as they did, because they want to utilize their land, their 1.5 acres, for us to come on and build 11 homes. 10 of them will be 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 800 square feet homes. And the 11th one will be a little bit larger for an on-site residential manager couple to live in, to be able to start making those really important connections, because we can come in again and provide the services. We can provide the excellent work that we do. But where the rubber meets the road is when they leave, what kind of community is surrounding them so that they have access to a safety net to fall back on, and friendships. So I'll let Pastor John talk about kind of how we got connected through Rusty, through the work that was being done at Grove Village, and just sort of that proof of concept model, but how Pastor John had real big visions and of this long before Olive Crest ever came along. But to be able to partner with him and the church and be able to build 11 homes on that with a multi-purpose room, a separate multi-purpose room that will have an area for education and training. It will have classrooms, it will have life skills, it will have all the usual things. But other than that, it will also have things like a game room, a mini study area, a place where people can come alongside, and a little mini CrossFit gym where people can come in from the community, come in from the church, and meet with these kids and families and start relationship that'll hopefully be ongoing and last, that will truly make a transformative effort in the lives of these kids and families for a long, long time to come. And they won't do that. They won't do this, where they won't kick back and go knee to knee, eye to eye, toe to toe, and talk and start, warm friendships from the get-go. They'll do it though. Kids with trauma, families with trauma, families that are trying to just stabilize before they enter into this place of, okay, now what? They need places. They will come alive and come open and start relationships over a ping pong table, in a CrossFit gym, a lot more than just one-to-one. So that's a little bit about Olive Crest and our history, and how we got connected to John and his church through the former mayor, Rusty Bailey. And then John, Pastor John, I'll open it up to you. You can come fill in all the gaps that I left, because we usually, we have such a good road show that he goes first and I go second, and it just works. So
yeah, this is fun. So Tracy, thank you. I'll say a little bit more about just how significant of a partnership this has been. But yeah, just to kind of back up the story, to kind of the origins of this is we have all this property, which is so unusual in Southern California. Little church, community neighborhood church, about 3 acres of land essentially, in the back 1.5 acres-ish, just unused. And so as a church community, we're praying, how do we use this to bless our neighbors? And at the same time, we're kind of thinking about this. There's some significant experiences in the life of our church together. Zooming back a while ago, like one of my first experiences here, my family moved here about 10 years ago. And right when we moved here, this little church community had already in the works planned kind of a rescue mission for a woman in the community who was in an abusive relationship, and she had 3 young kids. And so one of the first things that I experienced was a church that was already gearing up with some trucks and some people from the church to show up when the abuser was at work and do a little evacuation while he was away. And it was just the heartbeat of a radical church that really took love in their neighbors seriously. And we were able to get her essentials out and move her to a safe location, get her into an apartment, and help her file the restraining order. And here this woman is doing the bravest thing she's ever done in her entire life. And we're rallying with you. And our first step, we didn't know where to go. We went to the housing authority with her and said, how could we get this woman and her kids some secure housing that she can get back on her feet? And at the time they said, okay, you can get on the waiting list. And we said, how long? And they said 7 years. And so we were like, okay. And it turns out we did a very similar thing 2 years later. And at that point it was a 9-year waiting list. So there was no headway made. And so we're just realizing it's a pretty big gap for someone to wait 1/10 of their life if they live a long, healthy life for something like that. Now, in her case, it was beautiful. The church was able to subsidized her housing for a long time, and she took incremental steps. Now she's self-sustaining, and she's got, grown kids, and it's a beautiful story. But we were faced with that reality that the housing crisis is real, and we're asking people to wait a long time for a really critical thing like a roof over your head. And at the same time, we're meeting people who, one of my best friends to this day is a homeless woman who's been homeless as long as I've known her. And she has ways of making money legally, but she's never going to make enough money to meet median rent in Riverside or any surrounding area. A number of years ago, pre-pandemic, the median rent was $1,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment. And there's no way that that's ever going to be a third of her income, right? And so she recycles cans. She does a lot of different things. She's incredibly talented, but for a number of different reasons, can't hold a full-time job, right? So what's it look like for her to have secure housing, not live on the streets, right? So as a church, we have this land, and we're kind of dreaming, what if the church could be a stepping stone? And it's not a 7 or 10-year waiting list, and it's not a $1,400 plus leap that we're asking people to make in this society, but the church can have this compassionate stepping stone where you can kind of be in this. At the time, we were kind of dreaming a tiny house village because we were inspired by different communities in Austin, Texas, and Seattle and Portland and stuff. And so we brought that to the city, and the city goes, yeah, we don't love the tiny home idea, but we love the concept. And we have this thing called Love Your Neighbor initiative, and many of the people I see on the screen right now have been a part of that in a huge way in different ways over the years. And so we started working with the city and learning what are the needs, all that sort of thing. The dream is developing. We're partnering with anybody who has a skill or a talent or compassion to kind of move it forward incrementally. We're a small church. And so we're inspired by the Grove. The Grove is a really huge church that's done a really remarkable thing with the Grove Village. And we've really modeled a lot. They've been generous. They've been sharing everything that they got with us, and continue to support this. And anyways, we're developing this thing. And the two things that we're really needing is, we're a small church. How would we run it well to honor our neighbors that are housed and around us? Because that's part of our mission, is to love our neighbor as ourselves. And how do we raise the funds to do this as a small little church? So like long-term management and some of the resourcing were missing pieces. And then at the same time, like Tracy mentioned, Rusty Bailey connected me and Tracy together, and we sat in this room where I'm at and toured the property. And she said, hey, you're not going to believe this, but our 50th year anniversary, I don't want to repeat what she said, is we're looking to do this exact same thing with aged out foster youth and families in crisis to prevent them from needing to use the foster care system, et cetera. And we need land. And we said, oh, well, we have land, but we need what you're doing. And so it's just this really sweet partnership that has just kind of formed. And Tracy's team has just kind of taken the ball where we had kind of got it to and then kind of has moved it along in really significant ways, brought new people to the team, and now it's moving really quickly. We're submitted kind of conceptual drawings to the city. We've had conversations with every city council member, and we've shared the story a million times, and people are kind of rallying behind it. But we're kind of in go time now, where it's becoming a reality. So it's kind of a long story, but that's kind of the dream, the heartbeat. And like Tracy said, the whole thing, even conceptually from the drawings originally done by CBU architecture students, it's all about community. And so that's what we always say. It's like if anybody in this virtual room, if you miss rent, something happens, you're no longer paying mortgage, you lose your house, et cetera, good chance that you have some relationship where you're not going to be homeless or in a houseless situation. But for a lot of the folks that we get to love and serve, they've lost those connections, they burned them, whatever. And so it's a really restorative part of this community is how do we rebuild community, both with the students in their program at Olive Crest, to the church, to the wider community. And we want to see these folks not only be blessed, but also become a blessing to the wider community. So there's all kind of dreams regarding that. But if it's okay, Melanie, I'll just share my screen because Tracy described the community really well. I want to just share, let's see if I could do it. I really messed it up last time. Let's see. There we go. Can everybody see that? So this is kind of the property. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. I'm kind of a Luddite when it comes to technology, but you can kind of see the right side is like existing. It's a satellite image, but then the left side looks like a cartoon is the drawing. Our church sits there kind of in the middle on a diagonal, our church building. And then behind it, you'll see the 11 homes. The largest square on there is that multi-purpose rec room that holds some offices, CrossFit gym, all that sort of thing, that community space where church folks, neighborhood folks, Olive Crest runs their services, their services that are in that building. Lots of outdoor space, whether it's a community garden or outdoor kitchen is number 2, right behind that multi-purpose room. A lot of gathering space for outdoor movie nights, things like that. And then there's 11 homes. The largest one is kind of on a diagonal as well. It's like the live-in resident manager, someone who's tasked by Olive Crest to really live in community, ensure the community covenants, all that sort of stuff, and provide care on site. And then 10 homes that are all 2-bedroom, 800 square foot, 20 by 40-ish units, big front porches because we want people outside. And if you think about a 2-bedroom home, Tracy, I might be repeating you, but you got 2 aged out foster youth per home or a young family. And you could imagine quite a few people in 10 homes, kind of having this restorative space in these really, really critical years of their lives. And so I'd be happy to share this with y'all, but via email if you haven't seen it already. But this is kind of the latest plan and what we're looking to do space-wise. Tracy, do you have anything that you wanted to add? I know that there was some Q&A at 1:25, and I could say more, but I wanted to leave space for that too, if there are questions.
No, I'd love to leave space for questions as well.
Cool.
Yeah. I think that Damien wrote something.
Sure, it's just a note. Thanks again for sharing. It's just a note for later, but maybe from all the groups that are sharing today, a list of do's and don'ts, the lessons learned in this process, right? Because I know a lot of groups, even that have land, are scared to take this step because building housing is a totally different thing than what you normally do, right? But you're making giving such a tremendous gift to the community and those that you'll serve by utilizing it in this way. The other question I had is maybe more a specific question, or what are the funding streams that you've used to help move this forward?
Right now, we're doing a capital campaign with all private dollars. So that's what we're doing now. We did not choose to go the route of affordable housing funding, although that does exist. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
Thanks.
Pray for us.
Yeah, I see you have a question.
Hi, Pastor John and Tracy. Thank you for your presentation. Ayako Tsumi here with Mary Erickson Community Housing. I'm also a vice chair of Inland SoCal Housing Collective. So going private funding, can you explain to us why you're pursuing private versus public?
Because the covenants last for a very long time. They last for 50 years and typically, and sometimes into that. And we have long lease between the church and ourselves. There really is no other reason. There are some things that we're trying to go through. Some former, if ARPA funds come available that are unused, we would use those to maybe possibly waive city fees and do some things like that we've been talking to different city council people about and city members about. But that's basically it. It's we've had assistant AHP grants before in the past, and when things come up that you might want to shift, it's a very long period of time. And so we feel that after 50 years, we have enough of the community and donor base to be able to do this through not just in kind donations, but also private funding. That's strictly the reason why.
Okay, well, just to let you know, there are some public funding sources that have shorter covenants, 20 years, depending on the number of units. You won't trigger Davis-Bacon or prevailing wages. So there are some options, and
That's
I wanted to
important.
make sure that you were aware of those.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I might, you could email me or something, because we're definitely don't want to, not discover an option that we should have discovered.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's great.
Thank you.
But thank you. Wonderful work and very exciting, very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's fun.
So I wanted to ask a quick question. If there's anything that you guys need support, like what could you, ask of the collective? If there is, how can we help move along these affordable projects in our region? What can, members on this call do to support your work? And kind of what are your next steps?
For us, and then I have to run for us, and I apologize. I did not realize that our appointment was going to arrive early, so I apologize for that.
Good.
For us, it's just the awareness right now and the support of the city, of the neighbors. Pastor John has done a phenomenal job of really being a true great neighbor to the neighborhood up there. And so the neighborhood association has been very generous with their support of this project as well. And I dare say probably excited about some of the things that could potentially come of that. So I think just the awareness right now and the support of knowing that if there's other funding streams or anything else to discover, I'm definitely open to those. And I'm sure Pastor John is as well.
Yeah. Tracy, yeah, I know you got to run. Thanks for jumping on
Thank
this call
you.
with us.
Thank you so much. This is a really huge opportunity for us, for me, for Olive Crest, for Pastor John, and I'm very, very appreciative of all the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to kind of follow what Tracy was saying, as far as, obviously they're really thinking through private funding, open to others. I think some of those strings attached are always a challenge, right? Whether it's prevailing wage, like Mark brought up, or other things, just because it makes it more difficult. And so obviously they're Olive Crest is in a silent fundraising phase. They're trying to raise, the majority of the project funding before they kind of make a more of a public campaign. And so yeah, any in-kind donations or people in the trades who can, volunteer hours with their team or materials, all that sort of thing. We're kind of building a network of people who are beginning to raise their hand and go, yeah, I own this type of company, and when you're ready for electric, let me know, And so, yeah, those are the kind of critical conversations that her team is having already, in addition to just reaching out to people that they know who support their work at Olive Crest and can donate privately. So yeah, it's kind of we're in the storytelling mode. I see a hand.
Yes. So have you already connected with Home Aid?
Yeah. Homemade's been awesome. Yeah. Homemade, I see you on this call too.
I'm on the call.
Yeah. So Matt and Brian, they've been really incredible. So again, I think we knew about them because of their work at the Grove Village, and sounds like they're really stepping into this in a key way, helping us identify potential project managers and connecting with folks that could do infrastructure work. So yeah, really, really huge.
So we
We're
have
still meeting
two.
Friday, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So before we transition, I want to make sure we have, it looks like Michelle and Rosina have a question. So Michelle, if you want to go ahead and.
So I have, I think, 2 or 3 things. The first one is, have you reached out to Riverside County Workforce Development about the ability to leverage some donated labor? They have grant funds that will provide trades. They'll provide the on-the-job training for the youth, and they're able to provide that resource. And then also the other one, I know you're not ready to go public with your fundraising campaign, but once you're ready to do that, let us know on how we can share that.
Cool.
As well as, I know when Rusty Bailey was here, when the former mayor, he had church leaders that were working together. So I don't know if that group is still in place and if there's an opportunity to reach out to those faith leaders about tithing opportunities. I know at some churches, they'll do a special opportunity where folks give $1 or, a certain number that week, and it helps leverage some additional resources from the community. So
Yeah,
put that out there as well.
that's great. Thank you, Michelle. It's good to see you too.
Hi, Pastor John. I have a question. Unfortunately, I joined a little late because I had problems with my system. But where is the location of this campus, this facility?
Yeah, so it's on our church's property, and we're located up kind of behind UCR up the hill, if you're familiar with Riverside much. So if you went up Blaine, past campus into the neighborhood, you turn right, and then right next to the train tracks, there's this little 1950s looking chapel building on a 3-acre lot. And so this is the back half of our property. So it's in donkey country, if you're familiar. There's wild burros that roam around, and it's the university neighborhood of Riverside. 3-4. Yeah, I'll type in the address in the chat.
And this community will be open to anyone in the area, or is it going to be specifically to clients of Olive Crest?
Yeah, so this will be through Olive Crest. So Olive Crest will make those decisions. And I don't know if Tracy mentioned this, but when I showed the picture of the 10 houses, roughly half of those, about 5, will be for aged out foster youth, age 18 to 24, I think. And then the other 5 would be for on the preventative side with a family in transition that could use a safe landing place. So think of a single parent with a couple of kids that needs a landing spot in order to avoid losing their kids into the system and trying to fight that battle. So half on the preventative side, young families, half on the aged out foster youth. That would be kind of the mix. And Olive Crest is identifying, they have several of these different types of communities that run similar programs out in the desert. In Paris, there's a really cool one called The Ranch. They do it really well. And so they identify students or people who would be a good fit for that kind of program, who are ready for that space.
Thank you. This is incredible, and congratulations. It looks like a really good project. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. We're excited.
All right, David, I see you have your hand up. If you want to go ahead and ask your question, and we'll probably transition to our next presenter after that. If there are questions, can you guys drop them in the chat? So if John, you have some time after, maybe you could answer them in the chat, or we could coordinate some connections.
Yeah, I'd love it.
After.
I'd love it.
Okay, so go ahead, David. I know you.
Thanks, Melanie. John, congratulations. It sounds amazing. You spoke about initially that the city or county was not in favor of a tiny home village. Once you changed that to a small home community, did it move through quickly? What was kind of the permitting and approval process like for you guys?
Yeah, so we're just beginning the official part of that. So we're not out of those woods yet, as far as running the conditional use permit through the city and all that sort of thing. We just submitted preliminary plans. Number of months back, we took the plans to the one-stop shop in Riverside. We have all the different departments review it, and accommodated a lot of those comments into this newish plan, and then this plan has just been presented to the city again. to begin that process. And so all the permitting is not done yet.
Okay.
I think, but we've went to the city council and through all the departments and have kind of checked off, do these fit your requirements regarding fire, ADA, all that sort of thing. Yeah, and to kind of back up, when I said they didn't love the tiny house community, we didn't push that too far. So I don't want to paint a picture of the city of Riverside where they've really said no to that in general. I think our sense was, yeah, I think they encouraged us through conversation to, the more permanent, the nicer it looked. All that stuff matters, right? Of course. And so when we came with a tiny house village, because it wasn't well developed on paper, that could mean a whole lot of things. So I think that they were thinking, hey, the more permanent this looks, it's better for our city. And I get that. So we were quickly able to kind of shift. Hey, the Grove did it really well. Let's do it like the Grove. And then they were like, oh yeah, of course, that's a success story for us.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good luck.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pastor John, and Tracy jumped off, but thank you so much for taking the time and just share what's happening at Crest Community Church, the work you're doing. And again, if there's any way that, collective members can support projects in our area, we like to do that. So if there's ways that we can do so, let us know. And before we started this meeting, I failed to mention kind of, what the topic was, and I'm sure you guys can see it, is highlighting those faith community leaders who are working in the affordable housing space. One, because there's a lot of this happening right now in our region. This is becoming more and more common, but also, there's legislation that's being worked through that can help possibly accelerate this, right? Of being able to build the acceleration of permitting on, university, colleges, nonprofit organizations, and faith-based organizations or faith-based communities, churches, places of worship. And so, as we look to see if this makes it through and this does come to fruition, these are great opportunities for these different community members to build right on their land that they have available in the IE. So for our next presenter, we have, where's he? Mark Nuaimi, who is, I just need you co-host, who's going to share a little bit about their project at Water of Life and what they're doing. So thank you, Mark, for coming. And
thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Melanie, for the opportunity to present. And hopefully I do have a presentation that I put together, and I'm going to try to not go through too quickly, but I do have a lot that we want to share and just update you. And for those of you, first, my name is Mark Nuaimi. I'm a senior staff director here at Water of Life Community Church in Fontana, and we'll be talking about our inner city ministry called CityLink and our plans that we are currently working through. Fontana has been the home of Water of Life for 23 years now. The church is, I'll give you a little bit of history of our church and then talk about the project and where we're at. Our church was founded by Pastor Danny Carroll. It started with 21 adults and 11 children on October 20th, 1990. This past Easter, we had 15,000 across our 3 campuses. So we have definitely been blessed. Lord's been touching our ministry, and we've just been really encouraged by the favor that we have found in the community, throughout the community, through the ministry that we do. Our primary core values, our 5 core values, are healing, sending, equipping, and relationships. And the center one is caring, which is really the core value that drives us within our CityLink ministry. And 14 years ago, Pastor Dan and several others in the community traveled to Dallas, Texas for a conference for larger scale churches, trying to identify what can we do, what can churches do to work with cities to take the suburban city and give them the same kind of ownership that the urban city churches had. There's kind of this mentality where in suburbia, there's not inner city or urban ministry. Well, there's plenty of urban ministry. And so that was where CityLink was born. And we've been really blessed to have an outstanding relationship with the city of Fontana. going to take you very quickly. Here's our webpage. Are you seeing our webpage on the screen now? So you can visit, and I will put in the chat our webpage home for CityLink itself, talking about kind of the impacts of how much food, how many boxes of food, how many volunteer hours, how many unsheltered guests are served in 2022. And then these are just a flyover of all the ministries that we do at CityLink. Some of the innovations that we have done since COVID, a shower is a blessing, where we actually have portable ADA accessible showers that we take into the community for homeless showers on a weekly basis and a quarterly basis. We also have food assistance, utility assistance. We have full wraparound services for the homeless within our CityLink ministry. And we've been really blessed to have 14 years of relationship with the city of Fontana as one of their primary care providers in the community. At the top of our page is a update on our project. So you can always visit that to learn more about our project. And I'm going to actually step into the details on our project now. Hopefully I don't mess this up. And of course I did. So let me see if I can get back to where I was at. There we go. So you should be seeing the screen. So let me kind of give you an overview of what is now our new CityLink project and what we are currently doing. Our current site is downtown Fontana, right near the Lewis Library and Technology Center, conveniently located downtown. We were very fortunate to find that building. It was the old Fontana Water Company building. And we're also really blessed that we fell within the plans of the city. That's not necessarily a sarcastic statement, but the city has interest in taking downtown and turning it into uptown. And so they came to us around three and a half years ago, right before COVID, and said, hey, we purchased your building and we love you, and we really want to encourage you out of your building. We need your building for our downtown revitalization efforts. And that launched what has been a multi-year process for us to find property. If any of you are out, well, all of you are out there in the development community and trying to find property that would be, bus accessible, serving the same clientele that we have, and there was a very limited supply. We even looked at existing property and were unsuccessful. Well, we finally came across 5 acres at the corner of Citrus and Arrow in Fontana and Tokay. And this 5-acre site was owned by Fontana Water Company. The city of Fontana was able to partner with us, and they purchased the property and then have since sold it to us and are carrying the note on this property. Before we owned the property, we started the entitlement process. We wanted to make sure that we didn't get on the hook for a bill without having entitlement sewn up. And so we launched an entitlement process that is gone through full entitlement, Planning Commission, City Council, for a three-phased project. Phase 1 is taking our current CityLink operations that are in downtown Fontana and consolidating them within a single building. And that was quite a challenge because we've got 6 different buildings in downtown Fontana as part of our current campus. We also wanted to build a permanent church and childcare facility as a phase 2. And in all of our discussions with the city, there was, and in our part, there's always been an acknowledgement that we need property, we need housing that we can control, that we would have access to when we have families in need, when we have those who are coming through our homeless services who we need to find placement for. And so phase 3 is an entitled parcel that is up to 30 units, and we do have deed restriction for affordability. They're requiring 10% of the units. Our plan is for all the units to be affordable, and we want to be able to somehow maintain control or be part of the wraparound service provider for those housing units. So that's kind of an overview. And where we're at today currently is we are breaking ground. We have broken ground on our phase 1 building. It's a 26,000 square foot multi-use building. I'll have a little bit of overview for you to take a look and see what's included in that. We have created a web page for the project, so you're always welcome to visit that. If you'd like to give online to our building fund, you're more than welcome to support us that way as well. And we have a really neat flip book that we put together as part of our outreach for this project. I'll put that in the chat as well. Each of the pages highlights the ministries that are part of CityLink. There's also QR codes where you can go and watch videos of some of the key activities that happen in our building. And this building is a lot in here. A big part of our CityLink operation is a food pantry. We don't use the word warehouse in Fontana, so it's a food pantry. It is part dry goods and then a freezer cooler combination as well. We also have a multi-purpose room because as soon as we open this facility, we know it's going to become a community center. We also want it to be able to host and house church services on the weekend until we build our phase 2 building. So we do have the opportunity to build a multi-purpose room that has 200 seat capacity. When we go to phase 2, this area is all high bay. It's all the same height as the warehouse, so the warehouse can expand as demand calls for it to expand. We have classrooms and a house for one of our, actually a couple of our ministries. Cherish is our teen moms and pregnant teens ministry. That is not just a Fontana ministry. They have girls, young moms coming from all across Southern California that they bless and empower and give life skills and parenting skills and all that. So they are one of our ministries that partners with us. We also have a second floor for all of our offices and support. But key to our development here is our lobby where most of our homeless clientele will be coming to visit us. One of the things we discovered with the showers of blessing was there's definitely a demand for showers to be available. So we've actually designed and will be building in 2 showers in our lobby of our offices. So when homeless clientele come in, if they need to get clean, we have immediate facilities available to them Monday through Friday throughout the week. We also have, as I mentioned, our showers of blessing. We also have a mobile medical truck that we have put together, got licensed. It's a $500,000 investment that was made, amazing facility. And then a variety of food trucks and other transportation trucks in addition to our shower of blessing. Just to give you a sense for what this looks like, we're talking about over 400 pallets of dry goods storage, over 100 pallets of refrigerated and over 60 pallets of freezer capacity. The freezer is going to be up to 24 feet. This is where we see ourselves not only being a direct distributor of food to the needy, but also possibly a wholesaler to other ministries in the region. As the food supply increases, as more cities start adopting recycling programs for those goods that are not quite at expiration, they need to find a home to be able to divert. And so we believe we're going to be well placed for that. Interestingly enough, we had a new county supervisor elected this past election cycle, and he came to us and said, my #1 initiative is addressing housing for the homeless. And we need to address the homeless crisis in San Bernardino County, and we need to deliver beds as soon as possible. Supervisor Armendariz said, is there a place for us to put beds in phase 1? We actually looked at that. We looked at a variety of funding sources, and we landed on probably not in phase 1, but there is a possibility for an interim phase 2. And here's what we did. We ended up looking, we're not proud. We'll copy and replicate what's been done elsewhere. Pacific Village has a 20 trailer development that they did with a lifespan of around 3 years. And so we're proposing to the city of Fontana now to put 20 trailers that will be located on our phase 2 pad. And the goal is that when phase 1 opens up, when all of our wraparound services locate, I already have this vision in my head of us welcoming the 20 families to their trailers and having a celebration on that campus, because we'll have an immediate inventory of affordable units that we will control, that won't have stipulations of 90-day limits or other requirements, that this allows us to serve and bless the community with an immediate impact. The fact that it's a 3-year time frame gives us, now this is my next challenge, is I've got 3 years to design, fund, and construct phase 3. Because when phase 3 opens, those trailers will probably be at the end of their lifespan. And phase 3, we don't want to go from having an inventory of 20 units to now we have no affordable units. There will be a lot of pressure to replace them. So that's our charge, is to develop phase 3. The good thing when we entitled this property, it was 2 parcels. So we've reserved a lot line adjustment still with the city of Fontana, so we have flexibility there. And we have definitely interest in maintaining a relationship. We're not a housing developer. We know a lot of housing developers, a lot of housing people come to our church, but we're not developers, and we don't play it on TV. We deliver ministry, okay, and we love people, and that's our charge. And so we're looking for interested partners along the line. So that obviously, anytime you go to the city, you want to try and show it as nice as you can. John, I think Pastor John, you talked about that. The last thing you want is to get shot out of the, shot from day one. And so we put together kind of 3D rendering of what this would look like with the trailers, and creating a community space there that would have some common area. There would actually be a laundry trailer as well as part of that infrastructure. Great thing is we're currently in site development. So the whole site is graded. As we developed, we're doing all the offsite improvements. So for anyone who's coming into phase 3, about the only infrastructure you'll have to do is you're going to take the storm drain and underground it. Right now, this is a detention basin for clean water. Those will become underground tanks as part of an expansion of the parking field when we developed phase 3. Like I mentioned, we're doing all the offsites as part of our entitlement for phase 1. All that offsite's going to be constructed. The city of Fontana is doing a traffic signal at Tokay. The city of Fontana is taking the traffic signal and actually widening Tokay. So it's a good timing for us. In addition to what we're doing, city of Fontana across the street is planning their homeless resource center, which is going to have a continuum of housing options there, depending on the continuum of the client's needs. And I believe they've secured funding from the federal government to launch that. And I know the city took ARPA dollars that they had and they've committed them there. So they will likely be breaking ground next year when we are getting near opening of our facility. So there's a lot of synergy in and around this area with what we are doing. So the interim development is we're going to install 20 trailers, at least that's the plans, and that they will serve as transitional units until phase 3 permanent housing is available. And we will not put the trailers in until phase 1 is done. I'm not going to bring people and just put them in a trailer without having wraparound services within walking distance, and that's kind of our heart for the community. In addition to the Joe Annunziato Outreach Center, which is our CityLink building, over the next year, we're going to come into oversight, actually in the next month, Bridge of Hope Transitional House, and then there's 2 additional sites in the city of Fontana where they have, through the Homeless Challenge Grant and through Home Key, secured additional units. So we're going to go from 0 units now to upwards of 30 units in the next 18 months. Which is a good thing. I have no hair to pull out but it is going great. So we're going from 0 to 60, well, maybe 30, but we're going from 0 to a lot. So there's, for us, our challenge, our next steps is finding development partners for that phase 3, because I'm already starting that discussion now. Obviously, we're in the fundraising mode. We have, through church tithes and offerings and through church contributions, we have over, I'm going to say by the end of this year, we'll have around $5.7 million towards this project. And I'm looking for other funders to come alongside. We will not build phase 2. We'll build interim phase 2 if we can get a contribution. I have requests in with various agencies around us. I don't want to put the pressure on them, so I won't name them. If that funding comes in, then that interim phase 2 is a go. We will not go to phase 3 until we pay off phase 1. We're not going to go into debt. We are a very fiscally conservative church, and we've done the debt thing in the past, and we don't like debt. So we're not going to build until we're debt free. So a lot of pressure on us, on me and our team, to pay off phase 1, do all the site development before we move on to subsequent phases. Phase 1, we're currently doing the development of phase 1. As I mentioned, it's graded. Wet and dry utilities should be going in, hopefully, Lord willing, next week. And starting that, and my general contractor will be mobilizing in the middle to late of June. with an opening of the phase 1 building by spring of 2024. And I'm looking to include the interim phase 2. So as we're developing that phase 1 building, we're going to be laying sewer pipe, water, electricity to support those trailers as well. With that, I'm available to answer any questions, and I'm going to put in the chat our webpage and the flip book as well for you. And I apologize if I went too fast, but I wanted to get to more questions and having you folks listen to me. Any questions?
Hi, Mark. This is Ayako Utsumi here.
Yes.
Thank you for this presentation. We met already. I'm going to put my Volunteers of America Los Angeles hat on now. And we're the ones with the couple hundred or so new RV trailers donated by the city of Los Angeles. And so we met with Water of Life Church last week or so. And so the details are forthcoming. So I want to encourage, of course, Water of Life, and again, anyone on this call and anyone that you know, nonprofits or houses of worship, to consider what you could do with maybe 1 or 2 trailers, since what Mark is proposing is much more intensive in terms of the site work, attaching, installing utilities. This is big dollar, big work. And that may be too much for your average small church or small nonprofit. So we are putting together a program that whoever receives these trailers, they will be set up for long-term success. So I can say that much. So great work, Mark, Water of Life. Your church is amazing, and we only wish you the best. And we look forward to working with you in whatever capacity that turns out to be.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. And
work.
one thing that it's kind of our mantra, and Pastor John will probably appreciate this. We don't have all the answers. There's times in our faith where we have to step into the waters and hope that God stops the waters from flowing. And we're taking faith steps right now. And our pastor, that's kind of his approach. He takes steps, and at 6'7", he takes big steps. So it's tough to keep up with him at times. But this for us, this represents legacy change and transformation for us, and it's going to well outlive us in a way that transforms the lives more than we could ever imagine. And we're just excited by all of that.
A question, Mark, thank you for sharing. I'm wondering on the home key projects, can you share a little bit about how you went about identifying those sites and how the experience has been for you?
My understanding, and I'm somewhat new to this role. My understanding is the home key sites were identified by the city of Fontana. They were the partner, and we are simply the contract agent who will be supporting with the wraparound services. So the city has been very aggressive, obviously, in trying to increase the inventory of affordable and transitional units. Our Bridge of Hope home that will be opening within the next month or so, it will be the first emergency shelter in Fontana's history. So when you're first, it's always a great opportunity to do it wrong. And so we're trying to not do that. We're trying to be very thoughtful and deliberate with how we go about doing things. Pastor Dan has built an outstanding capital in the community. He's there through each crisis. He's been there through each storm, and he has been a man of principle. And so the last thing we want to do is see all that capital, goodwill, go up in flames. And so that's one of the things for Pastor John, I think it's fantastic that you are going down that path of cooperating with the city, working with the city. There's some folks who will go, well, just it's affordable units. Doesn't the state allow you to bypass the city review process and just, just ignore the city, right? No, that they're our neighbors, and it's great to hear other faith-based communities saying, no, we're part of the community and we have to be good neighbors. And that's kind of our charge as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yeah, as long as he's not asking for your arm and your leg, but we try to be reasonable, and and it's okay to question. It's okay, as a church, when we're developing, when a city says, here's your development impact fees, it's perfectly fine to sit down and question them and find every loophole to not pay them, because we're charged to be good stewards of the resources that our congregation has blessed us with and charged us with. And so every angle we can take to figure out how to squeeze another dollar out of the project or avoid paying a permit fee or avoid a process, we're going to do that. But we are going to respect the process as well.
And quick shout out to City of Riverside that does give discounts on permits and impact fees for affordable.
Any other questions? Any investors here want to, contribute to my project? I'll be happy to. I'll point you back to our webpage where you can deposit in our building fund. Part of the challenge you have, especially for us with a project of our size, is I'm not going to be the general contractor. I don't have the luxury of saying, hey, let me call the electrician to come and do the work. I've got a general contractor. I've got a schedule to meet, and so that's been probably one of the hardest things to get folks to understand within our church is, well, but I want to donate this. Well, I'd love that you can donate this, but this, I don't know where to have you donate this to. It's really difficult. Why don't you, instead of donating this, go get value for that and then donate the money to the project if you want to go that path. It's challenging, but again, love the people's heart. And that's something I really didn't talk about, but we do what we do. And it was kind of highlighted in on our webpage because we have thousands of volunteer hours. We have an army of people who want to serve. And that's the thing about faith-based community. The people, if you impart vision to them and you lead them into that space, they'll serve and they come alongside and they love on people. And so that's one of the things that we're just so excited by. When we launched our Bridge of Hope, we said, okay, we're going to be pioneering in the city of Fontana. Who wants to be part of a pioneer committee? We had 100 people at a meeting. That's a tough meeting, but out of that came 7 different groups: health groups, ministry groups, food groups, maintenance groups, friends, adopt a friends group, so that the homeless clients would have a family to adopt. All of these ideas were spawned out of people's excitement and just following their call to care for the poor.
I don't want to take too much time, but Mark, I just wanted to say thank you. You're inspiring me. What you guys are doing, I had no idea, I wasn't aware of. So I was really excited to be part of this and hear what God's doing through Water of Life. And you're doing awesome work. So thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you both Mark and Pastor John for coming on. We really appreciate your time and just sharing, community's vision and the work that you guys have put in and just the success, right? Both at different points, both at different areas in the IE, but just being, really steadfast in what you guys are doing. So we appreciate that. Mark, I know that I think Pastor John dropped his information in there. And if you haven't done so already, Mark, would you mind putting in your email, maybe just like a couple of the link to the book, or maybe to like the donate, whatever you want to drop in, please feel free to do so. So that way anyone who's on this call who maybe wants to follow up, learn a little bit more can connect there. So perfect.
And Melanie, may I add one comment?
Of course.
Okay, so again, thank you for these amazing presentations, but I did want to just add in that Inland SoCal Housing Collective, we are a fair housing organization, and we are open to all faiths to share their stories, not just one particular group. So we are open to all. Thank you.
Yes, well said. Thank you so much, Ayako. And this has been something that, you know, I've been looking in the IE too to see if they're to try and find other churches, right? So if churches, other houses of worship, other just faith-based communities. And if you guys know of any, please drop them in the chat or email me outside of this. I would love to connect with more. I kind of just have a running list that I've started to create so that we can, as Damien has suggested, kind of create some like lessons learned, best practice, some collaboration and just sharing, general sharing across the IE and this particular niche of building, you know, affordable housing. So thank you guys again for your time. I appreciate it. And right now, let's see here. So I'm going to just quickly, not so quickly, but pivot this last portion of our meeting is usually spent on just on providing some pillar updates, what's happening, and if any of our collective members have updates to share too. So before we jump in, actually, you know what, we'll go ahead and jump into that, and then I'll follow up with just some general collective updates. So is there any pillar chairs that would like to start off or like to share out first?
Okay, I'll go ahead and go first if that's all right, Mel.
Yeah.
Hi, Ayako Tsumi here, chair of the expansion of housing solutions. So we're focused on addressing homelessness in the IE as well as home ownership and then kind of everything and then rentals in between. We meet the second Thursday of every month from 9 to 10 a.m. We just met last week, and our focus for the summer will be home ownership. So the state of California has a program called Housing, oh my gosh, what does it stand for? Housing Affordability Fund. Okay, anyway, HAF, sorry. But it's a mortgage assistance program up to $80,000 per household for mortgages that are at risk directly due to COVID circumstances. A couple months ago, the state expanded its requirements, and so we believe more people should be eligible to receive up to $80,000 in mortgage assistance. This does include property taxes and arrears in addition to the actual mortgage, and not enough people are applying. So we want to make sure that we get the word out, especially the churches online. We hope to look to you also to help spread the word that there is this mortgage assistance, including people with reverse mortgages. And those tend to be seniors who might be perhaps more financially vulnerable. So we want to make sure that people have an opportunity to stay in their homes. So through the summer, we plan our first session will be on the weekend. By NPHS, who's on the call here, mid-August, and then we will then rotate amongst all our HUD-approved counseling agencies. Every weekend, they will take a weekend for a couple months until we can reach most of the IE and give everyone regional access to this information and be able to speak to a HUD-approved counselor in private. With a sense of safety that we're not, ratting them out to their mortgage company, etc. It's a safe place to ask questions. So we'll look forward to more information on that. Those will be again kicking off in mid-August. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Ayoko, this is Fabian. Melanie,
Hi,
real quick. Hi,
yes.
We are having a California Mortgage Relief Foreclosure Prevention class this Saturday at
Awesome.
our office. We already had this one scheduled for the last couple of months, so we are putting this on. So if anyone on the call would like some more information, you could please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to send you out the flyer. But we are talking about the California Mortgage Relief forbearance modification payment arrangement. We're also going to be talking about the HAP, the new government housing assistance fund. So all of this will be included in the presentation. The presentation is about an hour and a half, and again, it's going to be here at our office this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabian. Can you put your contact information or the website in the chat, please, so that
Yes.
people can sign up? Thank you. Great. And then this is going to take a while. So all our HUD counseling agencies, they're still doing their own outreach, but we wanted to have a separate Inland SoCal Housing Collective outreach because, again, the word needs to get out more. So thank you. And Lisa Ralph there. Thank you, Lisa.
Ayako, can we get the program information for the mortgage assistance too, so we can put it on our city's website for under the Housing
Yes,
Authority and
absolutely.
on social media?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Again, up to $80,000, including property taxes and including people with reverse mortgages. So this is a very important source of funds. So yes, Michelle,
Yeah.
we will definitely do that. We'll make sure everyone gets that.
Yeah, I could send that out. And so
Oh, thank you, Mel. It'd be better if you did it. Thank you.
I could send it out. And then in the newsletter that just came out, you probably got it early this morning from how it was scheduled. There is a, sometimes the newsletter goes to your spam or your junk, so just check there too. There is a section on the program too. And so California Mortgage Relief, they have some updated marketing material too about the expanded eligibility for this that we're pulling down and that we're using to curate our marketing material for this series that will start in August. But I can make sure everyone has that link, so I could connect that and send it to you, Michelle. But if anyone else if you want to check the newsletter, if you're on the newsletter, there's a little blurb about it too on the newsletter also.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Mel, for that. And it is very important, each person on this call, please forward this email to your respective email, social media networks. We need to get the word out. This particular fund is undersubscribed, shockingly. So that means the word is not out. So please help us get the word out, because it's serious money that could really help someone stay in their home. Thanks, Mel.
And real quick, I'll just flag what Jessica Cora posted from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco, their new down payment assistance program. There's a blurb also in the newsletter about that. So it's the middle income down payment assistance. I believe it's up to $50,000. And so the area median income is expanded, I think, to like 140 or 150%. So check out that link. It's also good for all the HUD counseling agencies that are on here that work with pre-purchase customers. This is a great program to look into to see if and there are approved lending partners. I see one of them on the call actually on here today. So there's a list of them on there, and they're usual suspects who participate in these types of programs too. So check it out. It's new. They just released it. And there's also a follow-up on the newsletter for that too. Charles, did you have a question?
No, I actually wanted to say something. I hope this is the right forum.
Yeah, go ahead. If you have something.
Okay, this is my first meeting, so with you. Yeah, I think my other constituents, Lily and like you said, Monica, usually attend with Community Action Partnership, and we do have a couple of programs, free tax preparation, and also utility assistance. Utility assistance is for anybody within the county of Riverside borders, county of Riverside, and the tax is actually for all of Inland Empire and beyond. The free taxes go for, we do current and past 10 years taxes that need to be done. But I just wanted to put that out there, and I will also put it in the chat also.
Thank you, Charles. And if anyone else has any programs, anything happening, feel free to just drop them in the chat so we could link those up. And so we'll go ahead and move down to the next pillar for our policy. Our policy pillar, educate and advocate for public policy. Oh, real quick, I'm just going to. I was trying to share my screen real quick. Sorry. Let me get it. Awesome. Okay, so for our educate and advocate pillar, this isn't something we've worked on. I just now like released this. But we have some policy priorities that we've been working on this past year for 2023. We've now just put them on our website, listed them. They're also included in the newsletter, and I wanted to include them here in the meeting for everyone to see. This is just everything that we're kind of following. We have the ones that some bills that we're supporting, and then also, I don't know why it's not coming up. We have some bills that's not showing on here, but it is listed on our website. One bill that we are in opposition of currently, and then another, some priorities for the budget for 2023, for the 2023 to 2024 budget. These are all things that we're working on. One of the major items is for the budget that we're proposing and trying to meet with some local assembly members is regarding Cal Home and the lack of funding for that state program. We know that Cal Home is the only state program that allows that provides down payment assistance or money for home ownership opportunities, affordable home ownership opportunities, and this program isn't being funded. And so our big push is to trying to get some money for this, so that we don't use this resource. This program is most utilized more than any other state programs in the IE. This one, we use this one. We have the highest percentage of usage for Cal Home, and currently it's not on the budget for next cycle. So if there's anyone who's interested in or who has experience using it or would like to join those conversations and support funding this program, please let me know. I could hook you up with our committee and any appointments that we are trying to schedule to just do some advocacy around this. And then for our wealth building and preservation, is Brad still on? Yeah. Let's see, very well. All right, I didn't see him, so I'm gonna just go to this real quick. I'm gonna just share my screen of our general announcements, because a lot of these announcements align with like our pillar updates. So right now the collective is partnering with the Inland Regional Energy Network as they're kind of venturing into this space of education and holding workshops around just energy, like building codes around energy and enforcing energy building codes too. Because we work with developers and local government and kind of the associations and contractors too. We're trying to get the word out about these workshops, about the changes that have been making, and just kind of get a general understanding of that. And so we're partnering with them because we want to make sure that the affordable developers that are a part of our community have a voice, are being heard, or at the table, right? And also receiving that education and updates. So right now they're collecting a survey, one for the private sector, one for the public sector. So if you're on this call and you participate in any of those types of sectors and you are would like to take this survey, we would appreciate it. We're trying to encourage, some response and information gathering for them and support their work. So I put QR codes on here just to make it easy. If you guys have a phone easily available, it's a great opportunity just to click it, and you could do it quickly on your phone. All the surveys that I have actually listed out today are just like 1-minute surveys, so they're pretty simple. So I'll move on to our next. So in regards to our wealth building and preservation slash Bank on Coalition pillar, this beginning of this month, and we officially launched our Bank on Coalition website. which is connected to the collective. If any of you guys don't, if you don't know what the Bank On Coalition is, you know, it's basically a local coalition that works to connect their communities and financial institutions, mostly connecting communities to these safe and affordable financial products and services. So we have bank partners in the IE that have accounts that are certified that meet Bank On standards, which is, you know, low draft, no or low monthly cost, no or little, you know, opening fees or deposits, personal loan opportunities. There's Zelle, and they're really good, simple starter bank accounts that are very safe. And so for a person who is unbanked or possibly underbanked and utilizing, you know, payday loans or something like that, financial institutions that aren't necessarily safe, these are great products. So we have spent the past 6 months basically taking a survey, a landscape of the entire IE, collecting and getting information about all the financial institutions that do have a Bank On certified product, put it into a matrix and updated it with a comparison chart. And then we also spent the past 2 months translating it into Spanish. So we have both here. You can access them here. I just put the links, but also I wanted to see if there was any, you know, service providers that this would be a good tool for them to utilize, or if there are any financial institutions who want to join this pillar work, that want to join. We're trying to get more involvement from our financial institutions in the IE. And so we'd love for you to kind of join the conversation and help lead out the coalition. So here's some updates for this pillar. And then again, I had mentioned the policy priorities, which we already went through for our educate and advocate. And then alongside with this pillar, I know we have a smaller number of people on right now, but I know there are many of you that were a part of the Housing and Policy Leadership Academy, the HPLA, for either San Bernardino or Riverside counties. And this was a monthly, you know, course cohort that went through for, I think it was like 9 months total, maybe 10. That started in 2020 and ended December 2020. Sorry, 22. And we would like to learn from you all to get a better understanding, you know, if anyone has moved forward in it, what have they learned? And if there's a way that we can share, right? If there's any partnerships with cities that have done or implemented any of the policies that were created in this academy. We'd love to learn about it and see how we can share it with each other, right? So on here real quick, I just have a quick survey. If you can, if you were a part of it, if you can't access the survey, please reach out to me. I'm also going to send an email out to a running list of people who I've been accounting for, a part of both academies, to just get a sense of where everyone's at right now. We'd love to see how we can amplify each other's work and also maybe move it along, or maybe there's another group who can leverage and move the work along from the academy groups, the different groups. So.
Melanie, I think so. Does that conclude our pillar updates?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we're getting pretty close to the close here, but before we did, and one other thing that was in our newsletter, a lot of this information that Melanie shared is in the newsletter. Hopefully you get that. If not, please reach out. But I just wanted to also mention the article that was there that noted that Melanie has officially come on board as our executive director for Inland Southern California Housing and SoCal Housing Collective. And we're really grateful to have her. She's been in a role that's essentially served as that without the title. And because of some funding that she's been actively recruiting and applying for that secures our standing for at least the next 2 years and more to come, the board was able to officially bring her on. That also is in part because we have officially established with her leadership and work official nonprofit status. So we're not just a coalition or a collective, but we are a nonprofit organization with a functioning board and being able to continue on this good work. So congratulations, Melanie, and thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And I mean, I thoroughly appreciate it. Couldn't have been done without the support of our board members. We have a lot of board members on here, so thank you to all of you. And also in PHS, thank you for incubating us the past year. It wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have that backbone, that support also. So thank you guys. Well, if there isn't anything else, I appreciate everyone's time. I hope this was, everyone was able to glean something from this meeting. If there's anything else you guys are interested or want to learn about, or you want me to try and bring to our monthly meetings, let me know. I'd be happy to try and coordinate that, so that way we can make this meeting, helpful and for our growth, and also to achieve, affordable, great numbers of affordable housing in our area. So thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Melanie.